And of course, I have to take credit. My family should take credit for. There was a moment of realization where I thought, oh, ang galing ko pala mag-isip. And
the Australian Open has always been a theatre of dreams, where legends are born and heartbreak is carved into the blue courts of Melbourne Park. But what unfolded in January 2026 was something far beyond a routine first-round upset. Over the course of 72 electrifying hours, tennis witnessed a seismic moment that shattered tradition, rewrote the unspoken rules of respect, and ignited conversations across the globe from Manila to Prague, from locker rooms to living rooms. At the center of it all was Alexandra Ella, a 20-year-old Filipino sensation carrying the hopes of an entire nation after becoming the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam at any level, and Carolina Machova, the elegant Czech star who stunned the tennis world by breaking every unwritten rule to issue an audacious challenge after defeat. What began as Ella's long-awaited arrival on the sport's biggest stage quickly transformed into a story of defiance, hunger, and controversy, turning a first-round loss into the most anticipated unofficial matchup of the decade. This is not merely a recap of events, but an exploration of why they mattered, what they revealed about modern tennis, and where this extraordinary saga may lead next. Whatever the cause, mounting expectations, the suffocating intensity of the crowd, or a subtle tactical shift, the match turned on its head with startling force. Alicia Parks found her rhythm, her serve biting the corners and her forehand transforming from a liability into a lethal weapon, and the second set slipped away from Alexandra Ella 6-3 as momentum swung violently. What had once been a roaring advantage now became a burden, with anxious groans greeting Ella's errors and stunned silence following Parks's winners. The third set evolved into a brutal war of attrition, but it was one Ella could not win. Her shoulders sagged, the fist pumps faded, and Parks, brimming with confidence, broke early and never looked back, sealing a stunning 0-6, 6-3, 6-2 reversal. Ella's Australian Open main draw debut ended in heartbreak as she left court 6 fighting back tears, applauding the fans who had willed her forward, while the familiar and unforgiving narrative began to form another young talent overwhelmed by pressure, another first-round dream deferred. Yet while the tennis media rushed to produce predictable headlines, an entirely different story was about to be written miles away in the media center, where Carolina Machova, the revered 28-year-old Czech stylist known for her elegance, tactical brilliance, and unshakable composure, shattered expectations by going off script after her own first-round win, delivering a press conference statement so unexpected it would soon be dissected across tennis forums worldwide. Reporters scrambled to confirm they had heard her correctly as Carolina Machova's tone sharpened and she revealed that she had been closely watching the Ella-Parks match, praising Alexandra Ella's first-set performance as some of the cleanest ball striking she had seen all tournament. What followed felt almost confessional. Machova admitted she had been hoping to face Ella herself, intrigued by the Filipinos' explosive game and eager to test herself against that kind of talent on a Grand Slam stage. Then she crossed a line rarely approached in professional tennis, publicly calling for a special exhibition match later in the year, not a casual practice hit or charity appearance, but a properly prepared contest in a legitimate venue, free from ranking pressure, congested schedules, and the overwhelming crowd dynamics she believed may have contributed to Ella's collapse. She said she wanted to see Alex shine the way she truly deserved, and then delivered the 6 words that sent shockwaves through the tennis world, looking straight into the camera and declaring, "If you're reading this, Alex, I'm willing to wait, name the time and place, and let's make this happen." For a player still alive in a Grand Slam draw to issue a public challenge to someone eliminated in the first round was virtually unheard of, a gesture so romantic and defiant it suggested the scoreboard had lied and that the result had failed to capture the quality Machova believed she had witnessed. The implication was unmistakable. Carolina Machova believed the result in Melbourne had failed to reflect what she had witnessed and that Alexandra Ella deserved a stage free from the variables that had derailed her. The tennis world instantly went into overdrive as social media exploded with theories. Was this pure respect, a subtle mind game aimed at Alicia Parks, or a calculated publicity move by a savvy team? Yet among players, coaches, and analysts, the consensus was clear: this was genuine, a rare moment of validation untainted by rankings or prize money. Still, the most pressing question remained: how would Ella respond, if at all? Fresh off one of the most painful losses of her young career and just hours removed from what could have been a breakthrough week, she was likely exhausted, devastated, and already en route to her next stop on tour. For hours there was nothing, no social media activity, no statements, only mounting speculation and anxious waiting. Then, at last, the response arrived not through a press release or a polished post, but through private channels later confirmed by sources close to both players. 6 words that instantly became legend: name the place. I'll be there. 6 words devoid of self-pity, excuses, or explanation, offering no reflection on Melbourne and no concern for logistics or rankings, only raw competitive fire, the unmistakable voice of a fighter who had been knocked down but refused to stay down. T was not a plea for sympathy but a demand for another shot, the unmistakable response of a champion in the making. The 6-word reply went viral instantly, resonating with fans worldwide as a clear declaration that Alexandra Ella would not allow the Australian Open to define her. If Karolina Machova wanted to see her best tennis, she would get it. If the Czech star wanted a match free from chaos and crushing pressure, Ella was ready to prove that the first-set brilliance against Alicia Parks was the real version of her game. Almost overnight, the proposed Machova-Ella exhibition became the most anticipated unofficial match in recent tennis memory, with promoters and tournament directors undoubtedly scrambling to secure hosting rights for what would be a guaranteed sellout. The possibilities are tantalizing: a showdown in Manila, granting Ella a true home court advantage in an atmosphere rivaling any Grand Slam, a clash in Prague, balancing the emotional scales, or a neutral-site encounter during a rare off-week, where the noise is stripped away and only skill remains. Even the format invites intrigue: one set or a full best-of-3, coaches courtside or banished, spectacle or purity, each choice adding another layer to a matchup that already feels inevitable. Would this match use Hawkeye and electronic line calling, or would it go old school with human officials? Every detail suddenly mattered, because this was no longer just about tennis, it was about narrative, redemption, and a young player seeking validation that the scoreboard had denied her. But before the sport could fully indulge in the fantasy of a future Machova-Ella showdown, Melbourne delivered another cruel twist. Alexandra Ella's week of heartbreak was not finished. If the singles loss was tragic, what followed in doubles bordered on Shakespearean. Just 24 hours later, Ella returned to the court alongside Brazilian partner Ingrid Martens to face seasoned double specialists Shuko Aoyama of Japan and Poland's Magda Linette. On paper, the matchup heavily favored the veterans, yet for long stretches the young pairing looked poised to pull off a statement win. After dropping a tightly contested first set in a tiebreak, Ella and Martens responded with fearless aggression, cleaning up their errors, attacking the net, and storming through the second set 6-2 to force a decider. The crowd, smaller but still proudly Filipino, roared back to life as flags waved and belief returned, and when Ella and Martens surged to a stunning 4-0 lead in the third set, the match appeared all but over. In professional tennis, such a lead in a deciding set is usually a death sentence, with history showing teams convert that advantage more than 90% of the time, the mental edge overwhelming as the finish line comes sharply into view. The finish line was suddenly visible. Ella and Martens needed only 2 more holds of serve to advance, 2 games to erase the pain of the singles loss, 2 games to keep their Australian Open alive and secure a confidence-boosting result for the season ahead. Then, in a collapse that was agonizing to watch, everything unraveled. Shuko Aoyama and Magda Linette, battle-tested veterans of countless pressure moments, did not panic. They simply stopped missing, chipping away at the deficit with surgical patience, one game, then another. The momentum shift was unmistakable. Ella and Martens' body language tightened, the free-swinging confidence that had carried them to a 4-0 lead evaporating as hesitation crept into their volleys and doubt into their shot selection. The ghosts of the Parks match seemed to hover over court 6 once again, and although a medical timeout hinted at physical concerns, this unraveling was unmistakably mental. The once commanding lead vanished, 4-3, then 4-4, leaving the crowd frozen in anxious silence, and with the ruthless inevitability only tennis can deliver, Aoyama and Linette struck again, breaking serve to seize a 5-4 advantage and complete the cruel reversal in real time. And the end, Ingrid Martens briefly stopped the bleeding, fighting off match points to hold serve, but the psychological damage had already been done. Serving to stay alive, Ella and Martens showed flashes of defiance, saving match points from love, 40, and reminding everyone of their resilience, but Shuko Aoyama and Magda Linette were relentless, converting on their 4th match point to seal a brutal 6-7, 6-2, 6-3 defeat. What followed was not just disappointment but a crossroads, as Ella now faces difficult choices about her path forward. Whether to chase valuable ranking points against stiffer competition in Abu Dhabi, embrace the immense pressure and national expectation of the Philippine Women's Open, or attempt both at the risk of physical and mental burnout. Yet everything circles back to the 6 words that have become a rallying cry for her supporters: name the place. I'll be there. That mindset is what Ella must carry forward, letting go of the 4-love collapse in doubles and the 6-0 first set that slipped away against Alicia Parks, and instead focusing on the validation that truly matters. A Grand Slam finalist and top-tier player sees her not as a first-round casualty, but as a worthy opponent. The mental toughness she still needs cannot be taught by speeches or slogans. It is forged through scars, through painful losses, through moments like Melbourne that teach exactly how not to fail next time. Critics will call it a choke, tabloids will declare her unready, but the deeper truth is found in the respect she commanded in defeat when opponents apologize for beating you and elite players publicly demand another shot at you. You are not a failure but a dangerous anomaly. Whenever and wherever the Machova Ella exhibition takes place, it will be a defining moment, a chance for Alexandra Ella to show the world, free from chaos and ranking pressure, that her brilliance was never a fluke and that her story is only just beginning. Before that defining day arrives, Alexandra Ella still has a season to navigate qualifying rounds to survive in Abu Dhabi, enormous home crowd expectations to manage in Manila, and mental demons to confront as she rebuilds confidence. The path from promising junior champion to consistent top 50 professional is littered with gifted players who never made the leap, because in tennis the gap between potential and achievement is measured in millimeters in the ability to serve out matches, to win the biggest points, and to stay calm when everything is on the line. Ella has the game. The question is whether she can develop the mind to match it. The Australian Open delivered a brutal education in what elite tennis demands, while the Machova Challenge offered something equally powerful: a target, a purpose, a light at the end of the tunnel. Those 6 words, name the place. I'll be there, have given her fans reason to believe this was not an ending but the close of a first chapter. Now the tennis world will watch closely to see which version of Ella emerges: the player who bageled Alicia Parks, or the one who let a 4-love lead slip away, the national icon weighed down by expectation, or the competitor who channels pressure into fuel. More than anything, they will watch to see whether those 6 words were bravado or the birth of a new mentality, a refusal to be defined by defeat and a commitment to becoming the player Karolina Machova already believes she is. Melbourne is behind her, but the story is far from finished, and in tennis, sometimes everything truly does change in the span of 6 words.
Alex, after a terrific year last year, how does it feel to be making your main draw debut at Melbourne?
It feels great. I'm super excited, coming in.
Wasn't always the plan for the comeback, and maybe you were ready slightly earlier than you thought you might be, so then playing Wimbledon would obviously be a really big bonus.
Yeah, the plan